Babysitter told she heard a really weird noise from my wife's room when I left the party. I feel so hopelessly alone and isolated right now, and I desperately want to talk to someone, so I am turning to you. I apologize if this is rambling. My wife, 34F, and I, 34M, have been married for 8 years, and together for 12. We have 2 young kids together, boy 6 girl 4. I am a lawyer, and my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She is a lawyer as well, but has been home with the kids since our first was born. She is taking steps to start working again this year since both kids are now in school. Nearly all of our friends are couples that are parents of kids that go to school with our kids. All are well-educated/well-off professionals with steady lives. We went out last night for a 40th birthday party with 3 other couples. One couple we are very close with. We family vacation together, hang out with them multiple times a week, etc. They both work jobs that only require them to work 2 to 3 days a week. They are active and participate in triathlons. My wife, and now me, have joined them in doing triathlons. They have time to train daily based on their job schedules, and my wife typically joins them training during her free time while kids are at school. Typically 1 to 2 days with the wife, 1 to 2 days with the husband, and maybe 1 to 2 days all 3 during a given week. Back to the birthday party, everyone was drinking heavily. My wife and I drink quite a bit. The other couple drinks more than us. Around 1 a.m., I tell my wife and the group that I am going home because I am extremely tired/intoxicated. My wife tells me she is going to stay with everyone because she is having a good time. I didn't think this was a big deal. I took an Uber home and went to bed. I woke up in the morning and my wife never came home. She had apparently Ubered to the other couple's house with them and crashed there around 3 a.m. For today, I had booked a spa day for her for Christmas that she was going to use today. I watched the kids all day, etc. She came home in the morning and everything seemed fine. She went to the spa, but came home hours before I expected her back bawling in tears. My first thought was that she got in a car crash or someone in her family passed away. Instead, I'm told she kissed the other husband last night, but has no memory of the event. Apparently, their babysitter fell asleep on their couch and heard my wife and the husband in the guest bedroom where my wife was apparently sleeping. The babysitter told the other wife she heard them in the bedroom, but the other wife did not ask for details. The wife told the husband, who in turn told me wife while she was at the spa. The husband apparently has no memory of the event either, but was of course certain it was just a quick innocent kiss that was a mistake. My wife is certain it was just a kiss, but yet remembers 0 details and has provided a couple extremely minor but contradictory details of the event. I called the other wife to get her take. We were obviously both stunned and shocked. I got the babysitter's information because my wife couldn't tell me any details. If into the security recordings you go, only pain with you find. The babysitter told me she was half asleep, but woke up a bit when they all came in. Later, she heard sex noises/slapping, etc., and assumed it was the couple. One of their kids made a noise at some point and the babysitter got up and saw the other wife sleeping alone. She was extremely distressed and left in the middle of the night. She was certain it was more than kissing and they had sex. I hung up before getting any more details as I wanted to vomit. Now I have gaslighting to add to this mess. The idea that the babysitter could overhear kissing in a bedroom made no sense to me when I first heard it, and I told my wife I didn't understand/believe it. Talking to the babysitter, of course, confirmed what I initially expected, although she is still adamant they didn't have sex. I think she is just willing that to be the truth at this point. All the working out with another man did bother me on some base level, but I brushed that off as unwarranted jealousy. My wife's mom even made a comment to her at some point about how I felt about the situation. About a month ago, after another long night of drinking, she had her hand on his back at a bar because he looked like he was about to fall asleep, but right in front of all 4 of us. When we got home, I told her that I found it extremely disrespectful. We were both very intoxicated at the time. If you told me they have been carrying this on for months, I would believe you. The opportunity obviously exists. If you told me this was a one-time duck-up, I would believe that too. I'd say there was a borderline emotional affair, with building sexual tension, and it culminated last night. My head is spinning right now with every horrible emotion you can think of. I want to call the babysitter again to get more details because I freaked out and hung up after a few seconds. I am in a very dark place right now. I trusted my wife completely. I thought the foundation of our marriage was completely unbreakable. I thought we both completely loved each other. I've always treated her as a princess and with the utmost dignity, respect. I thought our marriage was good. I did my best to be best husband and father I could be. Most of our friends looked to us a perfect couple. Little do they know now. The biggest issue we've had in our relationship was I've told her over the course of the last couple years that our sex life has become routine and robotic to a certain degree. These issues existed before this other couple came on the scene. We still have sex 1 to 2 times a week and it's always pretty good, although formulaic. Like a script/playbook. I want more novelty/variety. She thought our sex life was incredible, so nothing really changed, although she said she would work on it. I assumed many guys go through this as their marriages go on, so I certainly didn't see it as an end. Is this all related? Probably, maybe? I have no idea. Does she secretly hate being a stay-at-home mom and this made her feel alive? I have no clue. My wife has profusely apologized all day. She cried all day. She says she loves me and our marriage. She has been extremely remorseful. She's saying the right things. Is she sorry it happened or that she got caught? Who knows? She says nothing caused her to do this, it was just a horrible mistake. We both know that something deep down caused her to do this, and being drunk is obviously no excuse. I told her she needs to quit drinking for a while, which she agreed. Her drinking has slowly increased last 3 months. She threw up after New Year's and the Super Bowl, which I haven't seen her do in many, many years. And now we have this. Probably all connected. She agreed to cut off all contact with the husband, which will be extremely tricky because of all the school issues. She says she would do marriage counseling if that's what I wanted. She says she will do anything to save our marriage. But she's adamant it was just a kiss, but yet doesn't know for sure/remember. Reddit, where the duck do I go from here? My heart breaks for my kids. I feel like running as far away and never returning, but part of me wants to salvage it. I don't know what to do about the gaslighting. My head is spinning. The emotional toll and burden this has taken on me feels insurmountable. Like there is no way I can overcome it or get past it. My wife cheated on me and lost everything in her life. Buckle up, kiddos. Story time. We both married young. We were high school sweethearts. I went into the military and she went to college. She had her pick of colleges and she would pick one near where I was stationed. She was the smart one, valedictorian, sports, cheerleading, etc. She wasn't a very good wife and I wasn't a very good husband. We both made serious mistakes during the marriage, but the largest was our mutual communication. From the outside, it looked like a perfect marriage, but it was not. We just didn't talk about our problems. When I look back on it, we were just too young and stupid to pull it off. Too many assumptions were made. She dropped out of and rejoined college constantly, choosing a new college each time. I left the military, honorable discharge, and found a good job. I worked security for different clubs at night, and she would get a job as a hostess at the clubs I worked at. She really got into the partying scene and let loose. During this time, my good job, a warehouse, shut down and left me my security work. I took other side jobs to keep the money flow going. She also picked up work. My little brother ended his life and I took a hard turn towards depression. My father blamed himself and did nothing but drink for a year. Barely ate, if at all, till his heart gave out and he passed. My ex was crucial to me at the time. She helped pull me through it. Lots of stuff happened over the course of a year or two. Somehow, at the end of it all, we barely saw each other even though we lived in the same house. It was like we avoided each other unless we wanted to have sex. It was a weird relationship. One day I come home from work at 7 a.m. from a night shift. She tells me she is not happy anymore and she is leaving. She was gone by noon. I was blindsided. I knew there was something wrong. She would break down crying. I'd ask her what it was and she would say she didn't know. So I would just hold her and tell her it was okay. Well, it wasn't. I asked if she was cheating, she swore up and down she wasn't. I had a gut feeling. Regardless, she leaves for a couple of months. She can't make it on her own and eventually moves back in with me. I'm sleeping on the couch and she gets the bedroom. Arguments are breaking out constantly, like never before in the marriage. It went from silence to chaos. I can't even remember if we were trying to reconcile. It felt like we were, but it just wasn't working. She was insecure, I was insecure, we both became petty. It just wasn't very pretty. Finally one day, I corner her and ask if she still loves me. She starts crying and says no. Something in me snaps. I quit my job, packed my stuff and left the next morning. I went back to my hometown, moved in with my parents for a few months, found a good job, great job, actually, and moved on with my life. Sorry for the long story, this is where things become interesting. 7 months later. I'm rebuilding my life and doing a lot better. There is a mild earthquake. I know the only fault line anywhere near me was where my ex, technically still married at this point, lives. I call her to make sure everything is okay. I hadn't talked to her in months. She misses me. She says she lied about not loving me and that she was trying to push me away due to her own guilt. So we decide to meet up and talk. I tell her she needs to be truthful or this isn't going to work. As it turns out, she had been cheating on me when we were together. Her reasoning, if she slept with the guys, then it would remind her how much she really loved me. Didn't seem to work. She told me details I didn't want to know, to this day I still don't want to know. For example, she slept with one of her professors who was, to say the least, incredibly well endowed. And how drunk she would have to get before she could even try to sleep with him or it hurt too much. There were quite a few stories like that. Stories about 3 guys she had got into with her best friends, mostly female. Friends that were interested in me joining them. My ex-wife knew that I wanted to, but she chose to involve other girls and guys instead of me. Couples she had sex with that we used to have double dates with as friends. Stuff that just blew my mind. She would date these other guys in couples, going hiking for a day or skydiving. All stuff I wanted to do, with her, but she never told me before she went. But she somehow still loved me, was in love with me, or so she said. I felt incredibly betrayed, emotionally, sexually, you name it. I think she was finding herself, but she had forgotten to involve her husband. That is one reason, among many, why I think we married too early. Then she tells me the worst. This is after I moved back to my hometown. At one point, she moved in with another woman. They met on Craigslist. On the first day they decide to celebrate their new roommate status. My ex has 1 beer and a little smoking, and gets blackout drunk and unable to really move or have much coordination. I am guessing she was under the pills. Her new roommate and friend invite her cellar over at this point and tell them they can do whatever they want to my ex. For free pills, of course. They did some terrible things to her. To this day, I'm not sure if she'll ever have kids because of it. She doesn't remember all of it, but she remembers enough. I won't list the details here, but they are very graphic and very bad. She had to go to the hospital afterward. When she told me this, I didn't know how to respond. It had been a month since it had happened and most of her wounds had been internal. I'm holding her as she's crying and telling me this. I'm doing the best I can to comfort her. What happened next? I can only describe as savage. She is small, 5 feet 2 inches, maybe 115 pounds. She shoves me into the chair, mounts me, and she starts ripping her clothes off and mine, and well, you can guess the rest. Let's just say it was memorable, but she is in lots of pain afterward. She hadn't fully healed, and for whatever reason, she had pushed herself to do this with me. If I had had time to think, I think I would have refused. Keywords: time to think. There were lots of emotions, and for whatever reason, we decide to try and start over. See if we can find the love again. We had some really incredible dates. I mean, perfect dates. Both of us falling over laughing at each other, having fun. We randomly walk into a huge fireworks display on a cool night that we can cuddle up and watch it together, etc. But at the end of each date, she ends up crying her eyes out and going home. She had been going to a therapist, even before the incident, and she was working through things. She had lost her job, her place, and had moved back into her parents' house. She was into pills and had dropped out of school, and now she was out of money. Through her parents' wallet and mine, she got the help she needed. We paid for her bills, a car, therapy costs, and more. She quit the pills and got a decent job. She apologized to me for a lot of stuff, and I apologized to her. Apparently, she had blamed me for everything that had happened in her life. From dropping out of school to pills, it was all my fault. The therapist helped her realize how much of those things had been her choice. I had never encouraged her to drop out, nor did I ever do anything more than a drink or encourage her to. Don't get me wrong, I was not a great husband. I was never abusive, verbally or physically. But I made a lot of mistakes and went through a lot of depression. Depression my ex-wife really helped pull me through. To sum it up, I was very young and very stupid. The end result. We could not be around each other anymore. Even though we had reconciled and put the past behind us, it was too difficult to be together. We had too much history. Every time she saw me, it made her think of her past and the stuff she had gone through, and the stuff she had put me through. Regret, shame, guilt, she could not separate it from me. It was inevitable that she would break down sobbing if she was around me long enough. We kept trying to date for a while, but I eventually broke it off. It was too hard for me to see her like that and too hard for her to keep going through it. I was still not the best husband and very fragile at that point. I wish I could have been more of a rock. Maybe it would have worked better. In the end, we pushed the divorce papers through and haven't spoken to each other since. The last I heard, she was doing well. She has a good job and good life. The same goes for me. I will admit, over time I have built up a lot of resentment for her, yet somewhere in my heart I still love her and want her to do well. It is a weird mix of feelings that are far too complicated to figure out. Trust me, I've tried. It may sound like an odd wish, but I hope I never see her again. I do miss her family though. Most of my family is deceased and I had become very close to hers. She had a huge extended family that was very close to each other.